This show is brought to you by Loud and Opinionated.
Welcome to the Loud and Opinionated Football Podcast for January 19th. Here we are right before championship football, gentlemen, here with Jake Williams and Brandon Plecker. And let's just do a quick recap of the College National Championship first, since we haven't met since that game. I think it was really funny that Fox Sports the week before was airing a promo saying next week when we crown Alabama national champions, and then they played the game.
They gotta had didn't they not have both? They had one for Clemson and one in Alabama.
I heard an Alabama one, and I was like, well, that's a little
That's
premature.
Yeah, Clemson just destroyed them.
Oh yeah, it was very interesting.
It was, I think, and I know I could be overlooking this, and I think Alabama's going to be fine. I think they'll still be successful, but I think the wheels might be coming off. I
don't think there's anything wrong with Alabama. I think Clemson came to the same, and they're at the same point, and so there's a competition.
They have the exact same record over
There's
the
legitimate
past 4 years.
competition.
yeah, but now
it's
we know
not necessarily that Alabama's bad. It's that Clemson's just as good now.
I think there is something to be said for Alabama's coaching staff, though.
Yeah,
not
everybody's
Nick
gone.
Saban, but under Nick Saban. It really seems like it's kind of a Harbaugh, like a Jim Harbaugh thing where he's really intense and he wears people out and nobody wants to stay there long. It's like the junior college transfer spot for coaches. And then you go be the guy at USC or you jump back to the NFL. Nobody's really staying with Alabama. And so when they play a team like Clemson now that can hang with their pure athletes, because Alabama, like
Exactly.
coaching aside, they
Yeah.
still have the top
The
football
best
players
players.
in
Number
the
one
country.
recruiting class again this year.
Absolutely. So it comes down to when there is a team that can match them athletically, their coaching staff is so outmatched that's what we saw.
Well, I think Joel Klatt said it best on Fox when he said that Clemson's a family, Alabama's a factory, and you're not going to Alabama for school. You're going there to play football. You're going there to be a top draft pick. That's what you're going there for. And the reason I said I think the wheels are starting to come off a little bit is they've had, I think the number was 17 coaching changes in the last couple of years, and Clemson's had 2. And they said, I just saw a stat, maybe that's the stat I saw, 17 assistants on the 2017 team. None of them are there. They're all gone. And the 2018 team, they've lost a bunch too. That being said, Nick Saban's still a great coach. So I think when I say the wheels are coming off a little bit, I don't think they're going to be bad. I don't think they're going to be like 6-6. But I see them more going towards 10-2, 9-3. I think more teams are going to start coming up out of the SEC. Maybe Georgia finally gets over the hump, but who knows? Kirby Smart to me is showing me that
He's one of the first real Alabama coaches that's actually had success.
recently.
A lot of them. It's kind of like Bill Belichick and the Patriots.
None of their
That's great. Yeah, that's a great
Their
comparison.
assistants don't
They don't pan
perform
out,
to the
yeah.
same thing. Yeah,
But
what they're
what
expected to do.
But what worries me about Kirby Smart is he'll have a great season and then he'll go out and it's just something against Nick Saban. Like he can't beat his dad.
So I would say, like what you're saying with Belichick, those are coaches, though, that Belichick groomed. And so with Saban's coaching staff, you have to look differently at the coaches that came with him or the coaches that he has built up and groomed compared to the ones that came from being fired from somewhere else. And those are the guys that have absolutely no vested interest in that program, like Sark and whoever else. Lane Kiffin.
Lane Kiffin, yeah.
Jimbo Fisher is the most successful because Jimbo Fisher won a national championship, and he worked under Nick Saban.
Oh, he was? I
Yeah,
didn't
it
realize
was.
that.
I think it was LSU days, maybe.
Okay.
But yeah, he worked under Saban and won a national championship. But I don't know. I think we're starting to see a change, and I think I was very happy. I'm always happy. They're the Patriots. I want to see them lose.
Right.
No, unless you're an actual fan of it, you don't like dynasties because it makes the sport stale.
They're Duke basketball. You know,
At the same time,
you want them to lose. Exactly. Golden State.
at the same time, Clemson is the new Alabama. It looks like they're going to be the new Alabama. And
Little old Clemson.
and it scares the shit out of me because it's like, God, now we're going to have to deal with the Dabo dynasty. And eventually, I'm just wondering when it's going to happen. He's eventually going to be at the part where I'm going to hate him like I hate Nick Saban. But not necessarily with Dabo, because he actually has a personality, and I like Dabo.
He's a lot different than Nick Saban.
Yeah, Nick Saban's a
They're
grouch.
both very intense, though. Like, you see them on the sidelines, they coach the same, but
Right.
their attitudes afterwards are different. I
Yeah,
guess.
and we'll get to it.
He's
you
more
know,
likable.
we'll get to it in a little bit. But it's a situation with Belichick and Andy Reid. I want to see Andy Reid win because he seems like a generally good guy. Belichick, when is that guy ever happy? You know?
Yeah, he has the same.
When he's
face
cutting the
every time.
sleeves off his sweatshirts.
Maybe. I would love. Could you imagine seeing that guy with childbirth? He's like, okay, we know how this goes. We got another one.
We're on to the second one.
No days off. Get back in the bedroom.
No days off. There you go.
No, yeah. Overall, I thought it was great. What did you think, Paul?
I think that Clemson definitely has the brighter near future because of their quarterback play. Trevor Lawrence was absolutely incredible. He wasn't pressured. He really looked composed. And against
he's
Alabama, you start the game behind when the scoreboard's 0-0 because most teams we're playing Alabama. We're playing the Crimson Tide, and he didn't look that way, and Clemson didn't carry themselves that way because most of those Clemson players had played Alabama before
and won.
Right, and won.
And also got beat pretty bad. So yeah, they know every aspect of it.
Right. But I think he was incredible, and why should he have to stay in college for 2 more years after this?
Because I wrote about it on loudopinionated.com. Wink. I wrote about it after the game happened, and I made the joke that him and the receiver, Ross, yeah, Justin Ross, number 8, who was making ridiculous catches, man.
Incredible.
Like those were NFL caliber catches. Those
Right.
were nuts. And I was looking at him, and I thought, I was like, screw that 3-year rule. These guys could go. But it was a joke. I don't really think that they should change that rule. Because
I think it's more for player safety than it is.
yeah,
for
that's what I think it is. Yeah,
Well, I'm
because
not
these
saying
guys
he-
are still not. He's
He wouldn't-
19.
He
man.
wouldn't
Exactly.
start though. The point is that he's just so
some
young.
teams
You
he
want-
might.
You want it. Well, that's the problem.
definitely
in the front
start in
office of
Tampa.
those teams that's a quarterback that you should have sit and learn
What
for a
if-
year or two, and then he turns into Aaron
what if
Rodgers or
they
Mahomes because he
Can be
sits
on the team but can't.
He doesn't take hits.
Can't play.
like Hackenberg. And that's the other side of it of a quarterback that you see potential and you draft to sit and he never
But
even makes the field.
here's what I'm kind of saying. Like you get a small 2-year deal, very minimum pay from your 19 to be 21, but you can't actually play in the NFL in those 2 seasons. And you sit in that organization and learn the system, and then you come out as a real rookie, and you're much better.
That's interesting. Like a not a G League, but like a
Kinda like minor
developmental
league baseball.
contract.
They should
Yeah,
have
kind
something
of like
like
minor
that.
league baseball.
Okay.
But
no
more-
playing,
but
no game
closer.
play.
yeah,
I think the NFL should have farm leagues, and I don't understand why
Absolutely.
the NFL is the only professional league that doesn't have a G League or double A.
It really is
baseball.
because of the physical toll.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's what it comes down
But
to.
and that goes back to the 3-year thing. Even if he doesn't play, they're still going to put him in at preseason because they still want his game time. How he's going to experience a game, how he's going to react to a game. They might put him in preseason, and he might get folded like a chair.
He could blow out his knee in his sophomore year at Clemson, trying to make a national title, and his millions of dollars are gone.
And I think the people that maybe are like he should come out now or don't want him to come out, probably because they're scared. Because nobody ever does what Clemson did to Alabama.
You know,
That was nuts.
it might kill college football if you let the top young people leave every year.
Yeah, you're gonna
That's
have
a problem in college
yeah, the
basketball.
one and
Basketball,
done stuff. Yeah.
There are no big names with staying power. Big names
It's
are
schools.
freshmen.
It's not
Right.
players.
Absolutely.
And so with that, you can't change the schools that are the top teams.
And
because it's different people each year, so it's always different. So
it's already bad now. It's going to be 10 times worse. I mean, the transferring is already bad now. It's going to be it's going to escalate so much because they're like, I just need 1 year. That's all I need. So they're going to be jumping around, and you're going to see teams like Clemson and Alabama, like I said, they're going to turn out NFL talent. So everybody's going to go there. And, yeah, I don't know.
Or like Baker and just transfer around. till you
And
get your
then
shot.
criticize his coach for going to another
Oh
team
my gosh.
after he was fired. It's like, dude, you transferred. Shut the hell up. It's a different situation. No, it's not. You're just a spoiled
He
kid.
chose to
If
leave.
anything,
he
it's
was
worse.
fired.
Yeah, because he chose, and the other one didn't have a
Right. The other
choice.
one didn't have a
Right.
choice. He just took a job.
Yeah, he was fired from his job. He had to do something else. You chose to leave because you weren't playing, which, like, but that's
Right,
that's the only difference.
And that's kind of, I jokingly also say, maybe Trevor Lawrence should be allowed to go, but there are those generational talents they are kind of unfairly punished by having to stay at the level they're at. Like in the NBA, there's so many players that went straight out of high school but didn't make it because Kobe and LeBron and Garnett and those guys did that, and then a lot of people told other people they could. And that's what would happen in college. You'd have a lot of burnouts. But then there's guys like Adrian Peterson said,
He
a
was
year or
ready,
two ago.
yeah.
He said I could have gone to the NFL almost immediately after high school,
And
and you believe it,
it hurt
when he says it.
It hurt him a little bit
He's a physical
because he
test.
broke his collarbone
Absolutely
his sophomore year,
right.
like midway through the season. So I think that kind of hurt him a little bit. But yeah, that's a guy who I remember. I was only 11 years old, but I remember watching him play, and I was like, "This is not
He's different.
He was, I think, 75 yards away from 2,000 yards as a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
That's ridiculous. And they had a good quarterback. They had Jason White at quarterback, so they had options. And that dude was just, he could have gone as a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
It is a situation where it's like when you have guys, once in a lifetime talent, it is hard for LeBron James type level players. But in the end, I think it'll be better for them health wise.
It's better on the whole to keep the rule as it is for football. One guy
This conversation doesn't come up very often.
like Clowney.
Right.
Clowney could have gone right after he busted that Michigan guy, but he had to stay another year. And he still went number one because he busted that Michigan guy so hard.
Oh boy! And then the ball was just in his hand.
Right.
He just hit him. So, real quick, there's two things I wanted to talk about in college football before we jump into the NFL. What did you guys think of what Kyler Murray did? Do you think he made the right choice by saying, you know what, I can make more money. I'm going to be a day one pick. I'm going to the NFL. And he's going to lose, I think they said $6 million, but a team will easily cover that with his signing bonus. So did you guys think he made the right choice?
If he's looking for money in the short term, yes. If he's looking for longevity, then baseball is obviously the better option. He's obviously a very good baseball player as well, 9th overall pick. So
Yeah.
I think he's made the right decision up to this day.
I think
And
I think football
really-
right now is the right choice. I agree.
At least until you see how he could perform at the pro level, which hindsight's 20/20. But right now he's doing the right thing because he's keeping his options open and he's trying to find the
still do
best
either
money
one.
because I don't want minor league money. I
Not
just won the
very good.
Heisman.
It's not
Did
very
you see
good.
me? I
Yep.
just won the Heisman, and you're gonna put me in the minors on $600,000 a year.
He
I mean,
made
he'll have that bonus, but besides that, with baseball, with his age and when he's going into the minors compared to other 19 and 18-year-olds, he'll get one big major league contract, and it's one of those 10 years, $200 million if he's that good. But QB1, man. Well, how much money did Paxton Lynch?
if he's the
Paxton
number
Lynch
one
has
pick,
made almost $10 million to be horrible.
Yeah. And, I mean, because Justin Herbert isn't going in this draft,
That also helps.
that
him.
clears up a chance for him to be a
Right.
higher pick because Justin Herbert would have probably been number one. He gave the A's an option. He said, if you pay me $14 million, I'll play, which is like the coconut-sized testicles on this man to be like, all right, you're a professional baseball team. You want me to play for you?
And the A's
you know what? Yeah, and the A's
It's
are
for the organization that's like, if we don't spend money.
Yeah, not at all. We
Yeah.
will trade
right.
you
They need
before
to
we
do.
pay you.
They need to do something, and you're just like, yeah, you know what? I'll play for you, but I'm gonna need $14 million. And this dude is like,
And he's
younger
never
than
actually
us.
played
gambling
professional
on himself,
baseball.
though. He's gambling on himself. He's saying, I have the cards. I'm the man, and you want me, and here's what my price. And
Hey, man.
even if they call his bluff and he doesn't get that money, he still makes up more than half of that immediately on draft night with wherever he's
Right.
picked. He'll get a slotted contract, and that's gonna. I mean, he's not gonna fall past the end of the second round.
no, he's a nobody
He's
would.
probably gonna be a first
I
round pick.
guarantee
He's
you,
probably
his
gonna make at
agent.
least $7 million right away.
Right.
Teams will trade for him probably up
Yeah.
up high
Yeah,
in the draft.
I guarantee his
Gruden-
agent got in his ear and said, "We're not doing would not have put this idea in his head if he didn't think, hey, we could go day one. We will go day one."
I really wish that Oakland was playing in Oakland this upcoming year. I'm pretty sure like
Raiders.
they still don't have a contract for
playing
a
in the
stadium for
Chargers'
next
old
year.
Are they going to be the Oakland Raiders in Las Vegas?
They're going to no, they'll be the Las Vegas.
Oh, they're the
Raiders.
Las Vegas.
But
No,
this-
that'd be
That's
funny
what I
if it
thought,
was.
but that's what I thought you
but
were
for
just
this
saying.
for this 2019 season, they're not moving to the Las
2020.
Vegas stadium is not ready until 2020. But so for 2019 season, they do not have a stadium. They got kicked out of Oakland. The people are suing them, and they said you're not playing here this year, and so they're nomadic right now, and they do not have a place to play. And so they were talking about they're either going to play at San Diego,
Probably will. Yeah.
or possibly LA or somewhere, but they will not be playing in Oakland next year, and it's really flying under the radar. And Gruden's like, everything's fine, happy. I'm getting draft picks, but they're
making my $100
burning.
million.
They're burning from the inside of that organization. And Mark Davis just wants to move to Las Vegas and cares about nothing that happens before Las
Jesus.
Vegas.
Like that deal, Mark Davis.
But I
Why
wanted
does he
them.
want to go to Las Vegas anyway?
I think
what's
money's
there?
there, baby.
So
Money's
much
there.
money.
It's going to be really easy for away fans to show up because you just go to Vegas for a weekend.
Yeah.
It's going to be like your
But so
college
you're-
team.
so
Your
you're
college team makes a
nurturing- so
bowl
you're
game and you
nurturing-
go, right?
So you're nurturing for the opposing crowd rather than your own fan base.
You're
Wouldn't that make it a home field disadvantage every single game then?
You mean the
you do.
Chargers?
The Chargers just don't have – no one shows up.
Well, no, look at the
they
Vegas
play in a
Golden
huge
Knights.
stadium.
Well, it's not that far from.
It works
from
for the
LA.
NHL.
They'll have the Oakland fans. They'll have Raider fans from California. But we really digressed here. I was saying that I wanted Oakland, the Raiders, to draft Kyler Murray, but they're not playing in Oakland this year.
Yeah,
But
that
Gruden
would've
would be
been
like, "Hey
funny.
man, why don't you just go play for them on the off days?
Hey,
Yeah,
man.
just keep
Hey,
yourself loose."
hey, pal, why don't you stay in the city?
I like that guy.
Real quick, not super long on this. We talked about it before the show. Are you surprised? No, listen to this. Paul Rubidoux over here, Mr. Notre Dame of college football, says he called it Nostradamus.
Nostradamus.
Okay. Well, I didn't want to say
I
that.
prefer Rasputin.
I was thinking of that Chappelle Show skit, and I was like, I hope I don't say that one. Because as a white guy, I'm not allowed to say it. But he claims that he knew this was going to happen. He predicted it. But Jalen Hurts goes to Oklahoma. He's now coaching there. And how did you make this?
I didn't make just a blatant prediction. I'm really upset at myself I didn't tweet about this because you'll hear later I'm just digging in based on a prediction tweet I had in the NFL.
It could be right though.
I'm really upset with myself that I didn't say something when I saw it, but I saw Lincoln Riley's tweet of the eyeball emoji the same day that Jalen Hurts' dad was talking about his son's going to transfer because he's one of the best quarterbacks in the nation and all that crap. But I saw Lincoln Riley's tweet of the eyeball emoji, and I was like, oh, he's trying to get Jalen Hurts. He thinks he's going to get Jalen Hurts because their quarterback's leaving. And I really saw it coming, and I'm really upset I didn't say anything because I can't prove it.
Note to self: I need Twilight Zone style music. Yeah. So I'm surprised that Oklahoma continues to build their empire off the backs of other quarterbacks.
I'm surprised it took this long. For
Baker
Jalen
Mayfield
Hurts.
was from Texas Tech. Texas A&M was where Kyler Murray originally played, and now they have Jalen Hurts. And
They're turning into the Washington State.
Well, it's
yeah, pretty
Washington
much.
State does that.
It
almost every year,
works.
too.
Embrace the program. You know, it's like Iowa State built this basketball success
used to
off
it.
of grad transfers.
We'll get
Yeah.
used to it because it's not going to slow down. It's gonna ramp up because who's the quarterback for Ohio State that just
Oh,
Went
now
to Miami.
we're in the
Josh-
transfer portal.
Josh Fields.
the
Josh Fields from
transfer
Georgia.
portal.
The
Yeah.
portal's here.
Georgia, who's the number? Josh
Well-
Fields. He went to Ohio State.
Well, no, but there's a quarterback that went to Ohio State is now going to Miami. He was Dwayne Haskins' backup.
Yeah, that's because this other guy.
Blake
decided to
Martell,
go.
I think.
So
it was.
the other guy's
So
coming
he
here, and
can't
so
start
he
again.
It's just this chain reaction that it starts with Jalen Hurts, and then 30 teams have quarterbacks.
Well, this was
leaving.
before that.
No,
Actually,
I would-
But yeah,
Yeah, it's gone on forever, but it's like really amped up, and I think
escalating,
it's
like a lot of
it
things
goes
in our
back
country.
to the playoff era. The playoff era is continuing to change football and change
for the better.
Well, now it's turning into the NFL.
Rolling
Now everybody's
Stone
just going to
gathers
free
no
agents.
moss.
but that's high competitive between all teams and not just one team,
Yeah,
which is what you want.
But don't you want more parity on the highest
Exactly.
level of college
Exactly.
football? Like you want Alabama
That's why you want the best
to be at
quarterbacks playing.
Clemson's level, and then you want Michigan, Georgia, Texas, Oklahoma. USC, Oregon. You want these teams to be able to compete, and then we say expand the playoffs because these teams are legitimately competing.
Yeah.
That's a topic
Okay.
for another day.
We will deep dive into that I'm calling it the manifesto
You can't.
of
The first of
restructuring.
my many to come.
I like how like in the off season this is going to be like a like conspiracy like
I'm starting a
How-
power ranking for serial killers. American only.
how we're going to change everything. Like
Aren't they
him
all
and I,
American?
Paul and I, because for whatever reason I can't use the group chat that we're in. That I'm not getting the messages. But I
Pixel phone.
I texted Paul about like coming up with an idea to like rework the NFL draft, and he's like, "Well, I was thinking of it like relocation." So in the off season, you're gonna get a lot of restructuring episodes.
Yeah,
So
I have an NBA one and NFL one that I think would be really interesting. You embrace the international brand of your
why
league.
doesn't the NFL have a Toronto team? Everybody else does.
They really should. Toronto's basically an American city at this point.
I mean, you got the Raptors, you got the
Sorry
Blue Jays.
if you're offended by that, but yeah, it basically is.
Yeah.
It's the most Americanized
Yeah.
of any Canadian city.
You
there.
can't offend a Canadian. You can't offend a Canadian, eh? Can you do a Canadian accent? Give it a try. It's a hoot. Brandon, you get a try. All right, you know what? Fuck you guys. I am not what's his name?
Henry Zabrowski.
Zabrowski. I'm not him. I'm not gonna do all the voices
The caricatures.
just because
I love his Asian man. Oh my god.
It's super racist.
It's so problematic, but it's just hysterical because it's not just the voice, it's what he says that just brings it on.
yeah,
point.
it's really bad.
All right. So
Last podcast on the left.
that's
Gotta give a shout out.
Moving to the NFL side of things, man, my picks got destroyed last week. I had at least one of because I said outright winners and against the spread, and I had at least one of both of those wrong in every game. I saw my blowout wrong. I saw my upset wrong. I was wrong all across the board, and it starts with betting against the Patriots.
Never do it.
I
Bet
got to do it
against
again.
us.
I got to again this week. though.
Bet against us.
Yeah, I know. It's really hard, and I even said this like mid game as I saw like my predictions being destroyed by Belichick. I
35 to 7.
I tweeted saying, "New note to my gambling self: you cannot bet against the Patriots until they don't make a conference championship."
I'd like to point out that Brandon and I both said they would make it to the AFC Championship. We both said that they would lose in the AFC Championship, but we both said they'd
Chargers had the team of destiny feel, but now the Saints have it.
8 straight seasons. They are the LeBron of the AFC. Like they just keep showing
Tom
up.
Brady and LeBron James are equal.
And
Is that what we're
Who's the
saying?
greatest male athlete? That got hot
of this
week.
generation?
I saw that Robert Kraft said Tom Brady's the greatest male team athlete of all time, and the
it's kind of hard to
and
disagree.
NBA Twitter just exploded, and it was very interesting. I don't think it's debatable.
I don't
he's,
like
he's
the
not
Patriots.
the best football athlete.
He's not an athlete, but he's easily the best quarterback
He's a
to ever
competitor.
play.
He's a competitor, and it takes him to a higher level because hard work beats talent when talent doesn't
Yeah.
work hard.
But it's to me, there's if we're going solely on just how do I consider someone to be the greatest of any position in football, like the greatest quarterback ever? It's all about championships, and he has the most. He has 5 rings, man, and he went there 8 times, could be 9.
Well, he's the greatest quarterback of all time.
No, yeah, I don't think that's the question here.
No,
I
no.
mean, you're hearing that from 2 Packer fans.
I'll take it. I'll
Who
take
have
it
What a lot of
as you
people think
guys.
could be.
Yeah.
Is MJ the greatest male team athlete?
That is for
Or
the
is that
NFL.
LeBron?
That's an NFL offseason podcast.
That's a
Don't do
different-
that.
that's a
Don't do
different-
that to
that's a
me.
different story.
Different podcast for a different
Yeah.
day.
Yep.
All right,
Or maybe
so
switch logos.
NFL. What are we talking about, Paul?
Well, yeah, man, Kansas City looked good, man. They just held the Colts at every place.
Mahomes is
Their defense is
damn
here.
good.
Cool. The Chiefs have a
The
defense.
defense
Does
plays
that
very
change
well
things?
at home.
Okay,
The
but that's where it
defense
is this week.
They 17 points a game at home, 33 on the road.
Another
So
snowstorm.
Huge.
it's a huge advantage for that defense to be comfortable in their home stadium. They're
Rams
much better.
barely held on to beat Dallas. I think that if that game would have had if the end
I
of
don't
that
agree with
game was the end of the third quarter, if there was 15 more minutes to play, I think Dallas was going to win that game.
I don't know, man.
Maybe that's because I bet on them.
I don't know. Did you watch that whole game?
Oh, it was a very ugly start.
I
But
thought the run game was too dominant for the Cowboys.
as it progresses, the Cowboys are like a diesel engine. They can have a horrible first quarter, but then they just start moving and moving and moving, and they control the clock a little more, and they run the ball a little more, and they hold your score low while they run up to match it.
Well, it's their
They
defense.
almost did that. They
It's
almost
their
did that.
defense that keeps them in game.
One more year
Yeah.
with this
And
defense
I
together.
saw C.J. Anderson when they were stopping Todd Gurley. C.J. Anderson came into that game and just
Game
took
changer.
over.
Game
Took
changer.
over.
They had
And
no game plan.
and
for
How many
CJ
times do you see
Exactly.
an offensive
They had
lineman
no-
do that?
They
And
had no
He
game.
does look like an offensive lineman, kind of.
So that happens
But-
when you don't
But
work.
then they bring Todd Gurley back in there, and they're tired. They've been tackling this big running back, and Todd Gurley just gashes him in the second half.
Thunder and lightning.
Yeah.
That was
yeah.
yeah,
It was the ultimate
there was a
two-team
prime
performance, or
example.
two-player.
There's a prime example of that before the end of the first half. It's saying exactly what you said. They ran the ball a couple times with C.J. Anderson. Next play, Todd Gurley busts a
For
touchdown
34.
run.
Yeah,
Busts the
34-yard
big touchdown run, and they go up 20-7.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what I think was going to take the Rams to the Super Bowl. I think the Rams are going to beat the Saints because the Saints, it's at home for them, but they did not impress me against the Eagles. And maybe it's Big Dick Nick. Maybe it's that magic of the
I'd say bye week rust.
but
They are a
Philadelphia was banged up. Philadelphia had banged up defensive linemen, a
Yes.
second string quarterback. Granted, he won them a Super Bowl last year.
That's not an.
But they also
he's
had
a first string quarterback.
their offensive
Playing
lineman was
behind somebody.
injured.
Right. He's getting first
They
string.
had
money.
no second. All their secondary was hurt, and they were still in. They were driving to win that game.
The Eagles are a good team. They just messed around too much in the regular season. If they would have been higher
they
than
could
the
have been
seed
a
that
lot
they
better
were,
seed. Yep.
they would have been a much more dangerous team.
Well, they're sixth, weren't they?
Yes.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
barely.
Yeah.
they
They
should.
just jumped in the last
They
week.
got.
They-
They made it
they
because
hopped over the
Minnesota
Vikings,
lost.
yeah.
The Vikings had the chance to
Choke
make it.
job.
Yeah.
Oh my
Kirk
gosh.
Cousins, baby.
Love it.
That was a- that was a
84.
ugly
Love
game.
it.
$84
The,
million.
the one thing that made this Packers season kind of okay is just watching Kirk Cousins and Adam Thielen like gouge
Like
each
Adam?
other's eyeballs on the sideline and get
Kirk
into a
Cousins is
hissy
5
fit.
wins against teams above 500.
He's 5
record.
and 25,
5 and
I
like
think.
almost. Yeah, it's almost 30. It's
Glory to
just a
God,
terrible
man.
record.
Though he's a great guy. You know.
No, yeah, he's a nice guy, but he can't win games.
he like I heard he plans out his day like
Prayer.
plans out his day in like 15-minute like segments. Like this is what he does,
got a
and
chart?
he just knows. Yeah, he's got like a
Oh,
game plan chart.
I thought you were gonna say like
he knows his day down to the minute. He wishes he was Phillip Rivers so bad.
yeah, but Phillip Rivers can't win either. Phillip Rivers will get to the playoffs and then lay an egg like they did against the Patriots. Like how many? All right,
Kirk Cousins is like if Tim Tebow could throw.
hot take. Phillip Rivers is not that good of a quarterback.
I'm just trying to think of all openly religious quarterbacks.
because
I can.
everybody gives this guy credit for being this elite level quarterback who's been in the league as long as Eli Manning and who's the other one in that draft? We were talking
Ben,
about
Big Ben.
Big Ben. Eli Manning and Big Ben both have 2 Super Bowl rings. This guy has none. And anytime he gets close, he can't.
He's an organizational
he's-
problem. That is
He is 0-8 against Tom Brady.
all. I'm
Can't even
not
get
disagreeing.
one.
I'm not
A lot of
disagreeing with
quarterbacks
anything
are
you're
on-
saying.
I'm
are
sure
winners.
Kirk Cousins could get one.
I don't think
doubt
I
it.
don't think those guys are playing on defense playing against
Overrated.
Tom Brady. But the problem with what you're saying is that is all the exact reason of why Archie Manning said my son will not play for your franchise. Archie Manning is the godfather of the NFL, and he really he saved Eli's career, and he made Eli a Hall of Famer by making sure he wasn't in San Diego. Because look, we have to argue for Phillip Rivers to get into the Hall of Fame, and he's got top 10 numbers. He's got no rings, and that's what it comes down to. And I can't,
He has
it's
very few playoff wins. in
very
general.
hard to argue against team success in a team sport. That's very true.
I'm sorry. It was frustrating because you made me drink the Kool-Aid, and I was behind.
Team of Destiny, bro. I was there.
I was with you. I was behind the Chargers. I wanted them
Yeah.
to win, and it wasn't just my hate for the Patriots.
Kevin King kind of messed that game up too.
It
That
was
kinda bad.
it was just the thing that
Thoroughly
annoys me the
dominated
most is
by
how
New
did
England.
How do you not
How did
even
they come
show up?
back? I didn't even know. I stopped watching the game.
What an
honestly.
incredible
Garbage time, wasn't it?
Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna guard the Hail Mary and the run every play and leave the middle of the field open because if Tom Brady can't do one thing, it's the accurate 6-yard pass. So we're gonna let him do that all game long. It was the worst game plan for the Patriots I'd ever seen in a playoff game. It's like they didn't know who they were playing.
It was, and that's what I'm saying. Is like, how can you not at least get one in there? How do you lose 8 times you've played?
It's a team game,
The Patriots
man.
team is loaded.
Yeah, that's you got to look at the
They have
years
a
where they
lot of-
played
This
each
was
other.
the year. This
they
was
have
the
a-
worst Patriots team they could
You're
have played.
kinda-
They
You're-
still have some of the best players.
Yeah, they
some
still
of
have
the best players.
Edelman.
You gotta look at
and they
those
still have
matchups.
Hogan and
One of those years
Brady.
could be when the Patriots were 17-0 and Phillip Rivers didn't even make the playoffs. Like that's not his fault. He lost to Brady.
I
that
got
year.
us off track. My point
Randy
is, my point is,
Mossed.
point is, Phillip Rivers is good at one thing, and that's impregnating his wife. That's all he's good at, and just accept it.
Pretty good skill, though.
One more. And
9.
One more, and he's got 10th on the way.
He's got a
right?
softball team.
So
if he
he's-
can,
No, he's got his own offense. One more, man, and he's
got a whole
He's
offensive
got
line.
he's got a single A Iowa high school football team with one more guy. He's got 11.
His
That's
wife-
all you need.
honestly, I think I've made this joke before, but his wife just has to be a uterus with legs at this point.
She's a champion. She's a champion, and she's counting her money, making their home look beautiful. Like
After-
Phillip Rivers' wife is probably one of the most upstanding wives in all of sports.
no, it's probably a great family, but it's just like, after
he
the
chose,
4th kid, it's always got.
I love this guy. I can talk about this guy all day. He
pull him right out.
chose to not move his family to L.A. He commutes to L.A. from San Diego, where his family lives. Serious.
You're letting that
honest to
clout
God,
your judgment, Paul.
He
You're
bought a
letting that
van.
clout your
He
judgment.
bought a van and has turned it into his office space. He refurbished a van and has a driver, and he commutes to L.A. and
like
gets
2
all of
hours?
his stuff. Yeah, it's like nothing. Honestly,
Yeah.
comparatively, and he's got a guy that drives him, and he does all his business. It's amazing.
If he were Tom Brady, he would have had a house in LA already, and he would have the MVP type money because he would have had some Super Bowls.
He just have 2 houses. Why doesn't he just buy another house?
Why not? Why not just buy another house? LeBron's been living in L.A. for like the past 6 off seasons.
Well, because that's the thing. When people are like LeBron going to the Lakers, I'm like, yeah, because the dude's gonna retire. Like this is the end of the line.
Well, it's more than retirement. It's the next phase, and he saw that. This is a transition.
and he's gonna be a coach.
I really don't think he cares if he wins a championship in Los Angeles.
No.
I really don't think he
I
cares.
think he'll be a coach though. I think that's the next step.
I don't see
I
him.
don't think
I
he
don't
is.
see him
Dude, he
coaching.
was-
I see
He'll
him
be more like a Michael Jordan
like a
type where
Kobe.
Right. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Where I am.
You
I'm.
think he'd be in
I'm
film more?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's
You know
what's
who
the
couldn't-
phrase? I'm a business.
Well,
I'm not
he's
a business.
brand.
I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman. That's LeBron,
Yeah.
and
He really is.
He really is. He
Most
says he's
successful one.
got no stake in clutch. That is the biggest joke ever. That he has no stake in that company.
You know who couldn't say that? Phillip Rivers, because he's overrated. Here's the mic.
All right, this season or this week upcoming. Let's
Yeah,
take a
let's-
look.
let's
Let's take a
move
look.
forward.
So the first game, Rams at New Orleans. Jake, you're taking the Rams. Why?
I am taking the Rams because I want to point out that I think people were too high on the Cowboys coming into the game last week. The Cowboys beat up on the Seahawks. The Seahawks got a late touchdown to make it interesting. But I think people got way too hyped on that, and they're all concerned with the rust of a bye week. And it kind of was a thing for the Saints. But the Rams, I don't think got any respect last week, and they came out and showed you why they are a Super Bowl team because they took a guy in C.J. Anderson who didn't have a job, who got released by 2 teams in 1 week. They took him in and plugged him into his offense, and that offensive line made him look great. I mean, he did it himself too. I mean, it wasn't just them, but they have that offensive line. They have Todd Gurley, who, even if he isn't healthy, they have C.J. Anderson now. That defense is nasty. That secondary with Aqib Talib and Marcus Peters is just nasty. And, I got to give love to my boy Ndamukong Suh because he's a Husker. He's kind of a dirty player, but I still love him.
Very dirty.
I was gonna say, the
And-
addition of Aqib Talib is very
Yeah,
important.
and to me, the Rams is the greatest example of what the NFL should be.
Just don't let him
they-
on camera.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, I was watching that live, and I was like, wait, that was just on my TV.
Yeah.
Like that wasn't Twitter. That was my TV.
But I think the best thing about them is what the NFL should be. They have built this whole team and can be a Super Bowl winning team off free agency. A lot of those guys, they like Aqib Talib, Sue.
It's because you got the
Marcus
quarterback on the rookie
Peters.
deal. It's because you got the quarterback on the rookie deal, and that's what gives you this
That's
window.
what's winning in
Who's
the NFL right now.
who's the
That's what the
lineman? I
Seahawks
can't
did.
think
That's what
of.
the Eagles did.
Who's
That's
the
what the
lineman?
Colts tried to do.
The other lineman they have that I can't think of. They drafted
Aaron Donald,
Aaron Donald, who's just a
best
monster.
defensive player in the NFL.
Who could take on a double team, probably a triple team, and still get to a quarterback. Like he
He needs
that
one
good.
hand per lineman. He's so strong.
I'm buying the hype, and I like this team because they've really embraced. They are LA's team. I don't care what any Chargers fan says. They are LA's team, and I think
I don't think any Chargers fan would argue with you.
right because they're not there. But yeah, I think this team is the best team in the NFC, and I understand they lost to the Saints already, but they're pissed. And they want the Saints, and I think they're going to have so much fun beating the Saints in the Dome.
What do you think, Brandon?
I got the Rams as well. I think that the addition of Aqib Talib is pretty important because, in my opinion, the Saints only have Michael Thomas at wide receiver, and so having an extra corner in Aqib Talib, who's
They got Alvin Kamara. He's kind of
no, but he's a running back. That I'm not saying their
Right,
offense is
right.
only got one guy. Their wide receivers is really only one guy, and so having an extra corner helps in that secondary to shut him down. Hopefully,
Because when they played earlier this year,
Michael Thomas killed him.
Oh yeah, because Aqib Talib didn't play, and
Yeah.
Thomas was burning Peters all game.
Killed him.
I'm gonna look at that matchup early with Peters and Thomas because I think Peters is gonna play very
Yes.
aggressively.
going to circle it like John Madden.
Absolutely.
This
Right here.
guy,
Boom.
let's get boom. The fact and
I was listening to an interview with Frank Caliendo this week, and it was on Pardon My Take. And it's amazing how he can just mid-sentence you just hear
Yeah.
Stephen A. just like boom, boom, he's there, and then he's Madden, and then he's I tell you man, I'm John Gruden here, and he just does it so fluidly. It's amazing.
All right, so you got the Saints though, right?
I do have the Saints, and I'm leaving the betting line alone this week. It's 3.5, and I think that's just a push, man. It's too close. It's only because the Saints are at home, but I'm taking the Saints because team of destiny. I think they have a good defense. They're playing at home. I completely agree with what you're saying about C.J. Anderson and Marcus Peters and Aqib Talib being together. But I don't see the Rams. I see the Rams. I'll take the over the points, the total points, because I see the Rams as a team that likes to run and gun it,
Yep.
but will come up short in
They
those
have
games,
great receivers.
just like they did with the Chiefs when they played and they both scored over 50 points. Rams lost. They scored over 50 points.
In the Saints game, it was 35-45.
The Rams
so it was
won that
another
game.
run and gun.
Exactly.
Type game.
Yeah, they
The Rams won that game.
The Rams won that game.
Yeah,
I was
so-
wrong.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
Rams did beat the Chiefs. You're right. It was 54
Excuse me.
51.
Yeah, but
We watched that together. Guys.
They want to do these run and gun games, and then I think that their defense has gotten a little tired at the end of some of those games, and it allows them to lose some close, high-scoring games. I like the Saints. I like Michael Thomas. I think Drew Brees is just so aggressive. You know, it was almost 10 years ago he won. He wants to win a Super Bowl
Yeah.
like 10 years later.
If the Saints would have dominated the Eagles, I would have taken the Saints. But I think because the Rams, and I disagree with you on your take about the Rams-Cowboys game. I think the Cowboys getting back into that game, to me, I don't know. It was 30-15, and they got another touchdown late. And I didn't buy into that whole aspect of it. But if the Saints would have dominated, I would have said there's no doubt Drew Brees is going. But the way that those teams played last week, that's why I take the Rams. But
A big loss for the Saints is Sheldon Rankins in the middle of that defensive line.
I said
He's out for this game, and
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
that helps Todd Gurley and C.J. Anderson in that running game that was very dominant.
if it comes
last
down to Goff versus Breeze, I'm going to take Breeze every day of the week. So-
Goff is a system, and you
really?
could
I don't know about really.
yeah. How many touchdowns do you throw for under Jeff Fisher?
That's coaching though. Sean McVay is a much better coach.
That's exactly what I'm saying. He's a product of the system that he's in. He's an average quarterback.
That's like saying
he's
Tom
a game
Brady
manager.
wouldn't be the
There's
quarterback,
nothing
but he's
wrong
not,
with
and
being a
he's
game
not.
manager.
He's a
He
good
is-
quarterback. Not a
Would you
great
say that
quarterback.
about Tom Brady? Because that's kind of what the argument you're using.
But the different, I think
There's a
Tom,
little-
Tom
there's a
Brady
little-
has shown that he's going to say, "We got 3 minutes to go, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to score this, and I'm going to call these plays, and I'm going to call my own number at the end of this drive." I don't see that from Goff.
I don't like the system quarterback argument because then you're saying the quarterback is only good because he has a good coach.
No, that's why I said he's a good quarterback. He's not a great
You
quarterback.
see him as better than his capabilities because of what the offense is.
He has
producing.
Todd Gurley. Like
Well,
There's
Sean McVay, Todd Gurley. He's got this.
you would
He's
much
got a lot more weapons than some other
Brandon
quarterbacks.
Cooks.
I get what
at
you're getting
his
at.
level.
You guys want to breeze Mahomes Super Bowl, and that sounds sexy.
I tweeted in either November or October that it's going to be New Orleans and Chiefs, and that the Saints are going to win. But I said Drew Brees is going to be MVP. So
You can't tell me after watching, but that's the
Drew Brees, I
thing,
don't think
though.
Drew
no. But if it's Mahomes, then the only thing I got wrong is which quarterback. I got Super Bowl right, and I missed the MVP, but I got the teams right.
If you look at it this way, this is the best case scenario because any of these possibilities for a Super Bowl, it's going to be a lot of fun.
it's going to be a
These are the
high-scoring Super Bowl.
top four scoring offenses in the NFL
Right.
this season are these four
And
teams.
just imagine, look at that Monday Night Football game that we watched. And I was sitting there, I was like, this is the greatest Monday night game I've ever seen. This is the greatest regular season game I've ever
Yeah.
seen. And you're telling me I get a chance to see that again
in the playoffs.
in the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, do it.
Right. So the second game, New England at Kansas City.
Are you taking the Chiefs?
I got the Chiefs.
We're all taking the
I'm
Chiefs
taking the
here.
Chiefs because of my tweet. Otherwise, I would. If I didn't tweet that 2 months ago, I would be taking the Patriots because of how bad they burned me last week. I can't bet against the Patriots except because of my prediction.
This again is a product of the game last week, and we talked about it earlier. It's the Chiefs' defense sold me on them. The way that they dominated the Colts, and the Colts were playing very well up to this point. They dominated the Texans. They had that run, but the way that defense was playing, and it's just Patrick Mahomes. I don't understand. He's not human. He is not. He was made in a lab to play football.
He reminds me of Aaron Rodgers when he was young. coming
Did
into
you
the NFL too.
see the
But it
pass?
showed because he's got that arm strength and he can move.
Yeah,
throw
very
it-
mobile,
Throw it
strong
from any
and mobile.
arm
Did
Yeah.
you
arm
s-
angle.
Did you see that pass he threw to Kelsey in that game, where
Mm-hmm.
he literally, it was like the movie Wanted, and he curved the bullet. He curved that football around a lineman into the. I'm like he
Yeah, he threw it.
he
in front of a
defies the
lineman.
laws of physics. Like
Yep.
this guy's insane, and it's
Yeah.
hard
There's
to.
something special.
To me, that
And
means
it's a home game. That's
that
what
means
helps.
he's out here having fun, man.
Yeah.
And that's something that you're not going to see on a Patriots sideline. And they've had that argument of we win Super Bowls, but who's the Eagles lineman that said I'd rather have fun and win one. But
It was Kelsey, I think, wasn't it? It was Travis Kelsey's
his brother, yeah, it
Who
might
had
have
the
been.
greatest speech I've ever heard.
Oh, their
after-
Super Bowl,
His
yeah.
Super Bowl parade speech, brilliant.
his dress, outstanding.
It was like a court jester. It was beautiful.
Yeah,
But yeah, and that's the thing is, that's what we're talking about. We like to see fun teams. We like to root for fun teams. It's not fun to root for the buttoned up business team that is the New England Patriots. Unless you're somebody from Boston, it's not fun to root for that. It's like, okay, we're gonna root for the cutoff hoodie guy. No, I want to see a flashy team like LA or Patrick Mahomes doing a backflip and completing a pass or something between something insane like that. You want to see those things, and it's hard to pick against the Chiefs. And I was someone who was making fun of them before that Colts game, and I was like, I don't see what the hype is. And they're like, everybody's talking about the playoffs. Last time, some of my family members are Chiefs fans, and they kept posting stats like the last time the Chiefs were this good at a certain point in the season, they did this, and I'm like, yeah, but they lost in the playoffs. And I just keep reminding them, and it's like, yeah, but we didn't have Mahomes then. And I'm like,
Patrick Mahomes is the first Chiefs drafted quarterback to win a playoff game.
And
That's funny.
and that's the thing is they keep reminding me, well, we didn't have Mahomes then, and I didn't buy into it. I was like, whatever, that doesn't make any difference. And then after that Colts game, I was like, I was wrong. Because even though I thought he was the MVP, and I thought he had a fantastic regular season, I'm like, until he wins a playoff game, I don't buy into it.
Right. Yeah, I didn't buy into it until about halfway through this year, but man, he's something special. He really is.
No, there's no way he's not the MVP. What was it, 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns?
He will be the MVP.
Like, there's no way.
Moving on to let's power rank the remaining teams. One thing that I have in common for power ranking my teams and quarterbacks is I have the Rams at the bottom and I have Goff at the bottom. I think he's the least capable of these quarterbacks.
You know what's really funny is I have the Rams at the top. All right. Continue.
So if Goff is agreed to be the least talented and capable of the four quarterbacks, who's the third on the power ranking list?
For me, I have this isn't fair because
They're all outstanding.
It's tough.
Those
I have
three is
tough
it's
ranking.
Mahomes
very-
is third to me, and that's only because I had to put him somewhere. The reason, and I'll get to my reasoning, like why. To me, 1 and 2 are interchangeable, but Mahomes is third, even though I talked about how great he is and like making phenomenal plays. And he has that win against the Colts. He's still unproven to me. And the top two each have a Super Bowl win. One of them has 5, but unfortunately, yeah, he's in third place for me.
Wow. See, I have Mahomes at number 1.
I have Mahomes at number 1 as well.
I see him. He's confident.
Legacy,
he won a game.
I think
legacy means something.
Legacy means
but
something.
it doesn't matter in one game.
And that's why I have Brady
it's
at
the
number
best
2.
quarterback. That's what it's Mahomes. He's got the most skills. He's got the best skill set.
Yeah,
of all
power
quarterbacks.
ranking. It's current. It's right now.
Yeah.
It's who has the ability right now to go out there and do it. And I think
One
Mahomes
game.
is the best. And then because of the dominance last week, I have Brady at 2.
That's you mean you have the exact same ranking.
I have,
Yeah.
I have Brady.
I have Mahomes, Brady, Breeze.
I
and
have
Goff.
That's
Brady 1 and Breeze 2. The reason is Brady's 1 is because it's
Legacy.
legacy,
He's been there, he's done
experience.
it,
He
right.
knows what he's doing. And Breeze is the same thing. He's a veteran quarterback. He's won playoff games. He knows how to do it. But and again, I hate this because I hate. Based on my own metrics in my brain, I had to put Mahomes third. It's hard because Goff is the worst of the bunch, and I don't think he's that bad as you claim he is.
I'm not saying he's bad. He's
just system quarterback.
He's a top 20 quarterback. He's one of the good starting quarterbacks, but he's not a Pro Bowl level quarterback.
Whatever. No, he's not.
All right, so interesting. Here, let's get into teams because I think we all will differ in this. Like I
Yeah.
said, I have the Rams at the bottom.
I have the Rams at number 1.
I don't see what made them special or different this week. They grinded it out. They won a low-scoring game.
Paul Rubidoux wins no matter apparently. So.
I mean, it's playoffs, man.
Who's
Throw
number
out the
1 for
record
you?
book.
Who's number 1 for you, Chiefs?
My top team is the Saints right now.
The Saints
I
number
think
1.
they're very confident. The road to the
You have
Super Bowl is
Saints
going
number
through
1.
No.
It's going through the Superdome, man.
All right, so you have Saints. I have Rams. Who do you have?
Number 1 team, I have Kansas City. Chiefs, I really like Pat
That's
Mahomes.
a good. That's a
so
good pick.
I can't disagree with that. you know?
Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough to go against
Chiefs
him right
are
now.
Chiefs are my number 2.
My number 2 is New England. I think they're saying we are the underdog, and it's making them more. It's interesting because it's paradoxical. They're saying bet against us. They're saying we're the underdog, and it's making them more confident.
So you have the Patriots as the better team, but the Chiefs is winning the game. That's what you're saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that's why it's power ranking, man. I have the Chiefs as the number 3 team right now, as I see the teams coming into Sunday. But I
Yeah.
see the Chiefs winning because they're playing at home and they do have some confidence. And Pat's arm is very special. Yeah. So my power ranking disagrees with who I think is going to win.
My number 2 is the Chiefs. Like I said, number 3 is the Patriots. I think this, to me, the way I saw it was, I thought this was the year that they were really going to get knocked off their throne, and I thought they were going to lose to the Chargers. And 35-7 at halftime. I don't know why I was dumb enough to go against the Patriots and think they were any better than what they. Even though I said they would make it to an AFC Championship, which is the real paradox of it. Because I was like, I think they will, but at least the Chargers will make it interesting or maybe upset them. No, that game was over halftime. I think the only reason they lose the game against the Chiefs is because it's in Arrowhead. If it were in Foxborough, I don't know if I'd take the Chiefs as good as
Patrick
they
Mahomes
are.
lost in Foxborough, right?
Yeah.
I have Kansas City at number 1. I have the Rams at 2nd, New Orleans at 3, and then New England at 4.
See, that's just,
I like New Orleans' team. I think the Rams are better, but I do think that, especially Michael Thomas is a beast. He can't be.
It's going to be really
Stopped.
interesting
That's
that
why I
battle
think-
with him. In
That's
the
why I think
secondary.
they're a better team than New England, because New England doesn't have a guy like that.
They
don't
they
have
lost
Alvin-
him.
they
Josh
don't have
Gordon,
Alvin-
Joshua
yeah,
Flash was the man
exactly.
this year.
They don't have.
And then
They don't
got
have
rid of
Michael
him.
Thomas or Alvin Kamara.
He can't stay off the weed.
stay off the weed. Yeah, and I have the Saints at 4 because I have nowhere to put them. I mean, it's a weird thing because I think
There should be teams below these teams.
right.
It's hard to put any of these teams.
And
at
that's
bottom
the
of power
thing is I
ranking.
really
New England's not the worst
well,
team.
you know, we're down to
but
the top
we're
Right.
4
4.
teams. Yep.
Right.
and that's the thing. And anybody that complains when the 1 and 2 seeds get into the championship game, I'm like, what do you? These are the 4 best teams in the league, right?
It's
now.
hard. We're nitpicking at anything we
Yeah,
say
exactly.
here because these are the best 4
They're
teams.
the 4 best teams, and clearly I have a little
The
bit.
Chargers were one of the 4 best, but that's
Yep.
fine.
You know why they didn't win? Phillip Rivers.
Oh no,
the
it was
defense.
the game plan and their
Yeah.
defense. Just the Patriots, like the game was over by the end.
They
of the
didn't
first
show up.
quarter.
It wasn't Philip Rivers' fault.
Yeah. All right.
You know, I want to clear that up. I'm sure he's a great guy. I don't mean to just. I know he doesn't listen
I've
to
heard
the show.
he's one of the biggest trash talkers in the NFL, and it's all clean.
No, he's funny. Have you ever listened to him mic'd
that's
up?
funny.
It's
Yeah.
some of the funniest stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm leaning so hard on the Rams. Maybe it's because I really want the NFC team. Like, I don't know.
Well, we'll find out here, and no matter what happens, it's going to be a fun Super Bowl prediction because any of these matchups will be a good matchup.
Okay. So here's a question for you, Paul. If it's Saints Chiefs, who wins?
Saints. I said Saints.
You did say that? Okay,
Yeah.
I maybe said that. To me, if it's Rams Chiefs, I gotta give maybe I'm a closet LA Rams fan, but
So based off of your 2 wins for this weekend, who would win next weekend?
yeah, who would win in the Super Bowl? And I think the Rams would beat the Chiefs in my Super Bowl.
What about you, Brandon? Who do you
I
have?
have the
for this
Rams
week?
Chiefs. I would say the Chiefs beat the Rams.
Really?
Yeah.
So we all have based on our predictions for this weekend, we all have different Super Bowl winners. This will be really interesting.
But then if the Patriots win, we're all picking against the Patriots, right?
Oh no, I'm
'Cause
picking,
none of us
I'm
want to
picking the
Patriots
Patriots.
win, I'd
If the
pick the
Patriots
Patriots
win, I'm taking the
probably.
Patriots.
You wanna
That's
see
it.
Tom Brady getting a 6th ring.
It's not what I want. It's what they're capable
it's
of.
what's
It's
gonna
what
happen.
Belichick can do.
That's what you said last year, and the Eagles won.
It's like I don't. There's a lot of people that
All
don't
you
win.
have to do is follow the blueprint of the Eagles, and you will beat the Patriots.
All right, let me
All you
just
have to
pay
do
my
is have the
backup
four-
$20 million real
Yeah, I
quick.
just have to have the 4 best defensive linemen and
Hey, man!
these
If,
huge receivers on
if
the
it's
outside.
the Rams, you have
None of us
Aaron
even have
Donald
those.
and you have Sue.
You're right. The Rams have that, but
Yeah,
they don't have.
Rams
Alshon
would lose
Jeffrey
to
on
the
outside.
they have
Patriots-
Akeem Talib, Marcus Peters. They got a good defense.
Rams
I'm
would
not
lose
saying
to the
that.
Patriots because the Patriots would say, "Oh, cool, we'll play a shootout with you," and then they're going to do that thing where they can just
If
slightly
it's-
outplay you.
I can
a
understand
shootout.
They
that.
beat you one.
if it's
one
New England
play.
would beat the Rams.
If it's Goff against Brady, you're gonna take Brady.
Brady. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But if it's Breeze against Brady, it's a different story.
They're
I
both
can
products of
understand
the
that.
system. All
Yeah,
right.
because 5 Super. Shut up. Just shut your mouth. Shut your damn mouth. Is that all for this week, Paul? I
That's
don't
it
see
for this
anything
week.
else. I'm gonna throw the paper.
It's a little shorter, but getting to the end of football season,
pick
we'll
that up.
find content for this off season. A lot more basketball talk, but until then, next week we still got more football.
Wait, hold on. There's nothing left on the paper.
means I'm done with it.
How do radio hosts do that?
All right, we'll see you next week.